Thank you, Michael. Welcome, everyone. Going back and reviewing last week's game with West Virginia. As I said to the team after and in the press conference, again, very pleased and excited to win a tough, hard-fought game. Sometimes when things don't go so well, it's positive to be on the right side of it because of the things you did do well. And that was the case for us last weekend. Offensively, I thought we really ran the football, controlled the ball, running it really well. And the positive thing about that, I think we can be better. Talking to Coach Biedenbow and our offensive coaches, He's still, there's a lot that we still leave on the table that we can get better at, and I believe we will. That part's exciting. We had Trey Millard and Brendan Clay were the players of the game. Trey just was sensational with all his blocks. Brendan had a huge day, 180-some yards rushing, over 5 yards a carry. Neela up front, and Darrell Williams kind of were the guys that played the best up front. Thought still were very inconsistent with some of our passing game that we have to continue to push forward with. I think there's still some inconsistency too, even with receivers, and you have to realize some of these guys are playing in different spots when you have Sterling outside now a little bit more, and Jalen playing the outside receiver spots when we're in our bigger sets has made a little bit of an adjustment for those guys. So we just have to get more consistency there. We had way too many penalties and turnovers were the big disappointment of the with the offense. I think we had 3 or 4 turnovers, all in the red zone and scoring position, and that changes things drastically if you're able to convert those into even field goals, and it's a different game. So you're gonna struggle to put up a lot of points when you have 4 turnovers, and that's a big factor. Defensively, I was very pleased. Again, we had the one. Just disappointed in the one run, but the rest of the day they don't enter the red zone until, 20 seconds to go in the game, maybe something like that. So I thought defense was very fast, physical, assignment-wise very sharp. To hold them down as much as we did, forces we have 7, I think, punts and 4 turnovers. That's a really good day. The players of the game, Jordan Phillips and Gabe Lynn, were our players of the game. Jordan, very disruptive up front, played really hard. Gabe had a great, couple turnovers and played great. Is really excited. He's become a really a strong leader for us back there, and kind of the quarterback back there is in the safety position and getting everyone on the same page, and that's been good. And all the other guys played. Our coverage was excellent. All the guys up front. Stryker got a lot of pressure. Charles Tapper, Gino Grissom also played really well up front. And again, forced turnovers, did a good job. Special teams, excited. Jed Barnett averaged 45 yards a punt, most of them into the little breeze there was really, and hung them, where we could get down in front of the return guy. The rest of the guys hit it well. Trey Franks was our player of the game on special teams, really did a good job. So anyway, it was, again, positive to make the mistakes you made and still be able to win. That matters to me. Now we've got to clean up the rest of it and keep getting making improvement. Tulsa coming in, Coach Blankenship and his staff have done a great job there. 10-11 wins a year ago. Really a good football team. Disciplined in the way they play and how they're coached. So it's, we realize it, like every week we've got to make our improvement this week to have a chance to beat them here this week. And but we're looking forward to the challenge of it and excited to hopefully, make some improvement this week.
Talk about the Trevor Knight injury.
Yeah, I should have. Yeah, Trevor hurt his knee there towards the end of the first half. Was still able to play, but so when we made the switch, it was more just I just didn't, regardless of what reasonings, it was things just weren't going as well as we felt they should have. So we wanted to give Blake an opportunity. And with Trevor now being out a week or two, it's possible he'll be back in the off week. So we're starting Blake here this week, and Kendall is released to practice and full go, and will be set to play also. So he'll be getting snaps today.
You said Kendall has been released to practice. I mean,
he's set to go.
If you don't see what
unless something happens and flares up, or so there's a problem. But no, he's.
Yeah, but if you have that, or you don't see what you need to see, would you go into the weekend with Cody Thomas as your backup?
You'd have to.
Bob, in the offensive line, talk about your tackle situation. If Tyrus can't go this weekend,
he's expected to practice today. So, but we all the all the other tackles, and Bronson Irwin also plays tackle. So you can look at all those guys will be ready to play.
When did you become aware that Trevor had actually hurt his knee?
At halftime.
So it was a case of, can you play through it, or you talk to Scott and those guys? And
the doctors tell me who can play and who can't. That's it. I don't make any of those decisions.
Was it determined to be as serious as you found out later on at halftime?
No, I don't know what you're at. At halftime we had the information, whatever it was, and then he was set to play. Okay, now they find something out on Sunday. It's different, so now he isn't. I'm not. You have to ask the doctors that.
Bob, do you consider apparently? I think Brendan mentioned that he was nicked shoulder or an elbow earlier in the game. Do you factor any of that in with the disappointment in the passing game at all?
Well, I'm sure it bothered him. I mean, to what degree? I don't know how to measure that, but I'm sure when you're not healthy 100%, it changes things a little bit.
Bob, has Blake gotten more reps the previous 2 weeks than
Yes.
a typical backup has gotten?
Yes.
You said earlier in the year you kind of had to prepare for a kind of scenario like this with a guy getting hurt.
Yes, Blake has been getting snaps in practice for the last 2 weeks, definitely.
But before Kendall got hurt, how close was he to the other two guys?
Very close. He was right. He was right in the middle with them.
When you at halftime, back to Trevor's injury, the game plan changed a little bit. I guess he wasn't running around a lot. Like, was it because he couldn't run around, or you just wanted to protect him? Hey, Josh, let's call fewer running plays for him, or how did that work?
That's just how Coach Heupel wanted to call it.
Didn't have any effect on his injury then?
No.
Obviously, each guy, you run the same offense, but each guy has his strengths. What's the difference between these two guys in terms of what the offense will look like with Blake?
I've said it for a year. You can go back and read all the quotes. They're all pretty much the same. They all can run. They all can throw. They're all, athletic. So there's not a lot of difference between them and as far as their skill set and what they can do.
Is it fair to say that just because Blake's been around longer and in Josh's system longer, he might be a little bit more comfortable going through his progressions, his reads when he's in the pocket?
We'll see.
What about other injuries? Colvin, what's...
Aaron, it was, I think he got kicked in the jaw, so they were checking he was at the dentist today, but is expected to practice today, or depending on what they find there. And Tyrus, last I heard, Sunday was expected to practice today.
Did Aaron have a concussion at all?
I don't know to that degree.
Bob, you said before the year started, you were talking about the way the defense would be gauged would be third down efficiency and scoring defense. Up to this point, they've been doing well. Where do you see where they can still improve?
Well, we still, I still think we can tackle better. That was evident with the one we missed the other day. But and we still have we still have a bust here and there, just in our communication with getting our stunt or our blitz called in the right way. A time or two we didn't have contain on the quarterback. That was why it happened twice. So those kind of things we have to keep working on and get better at.
Bob, could you talk about the emergence of Stryker, who still had 5 tackles, even though it looked like West Virginia certainly was trying to pay attention to what he was doing and where he was at?
Yeah, Eric's a very aggressive, hard-playing guy that has a knack for making plays, and And so he put a lot of pressure on back there with his blitzes and, chasing the ball down, tackling. He's active.
Bob, is it a concern of yours that in the last 6 years in the Landry-Sam era, there was only one injury, the one to Sam, in a pocket passing situation, and you got through less than 6 quarters before you get an option quarterback hurt? Is that a concern?
Well, it's something you're always aware of. I don't know what you mean by concern, but I mean,
I'm just wondering, in switching to that offense, was that something you had to think through?
sure, it's something you're aware of. Yeah. And you got to find your ways, as you've seen them multiple times, slide, get down, get out of bounds, and you every now and then you're going to get one you can't. So.
Bob Neela started the last 2 games at right guard. What did he show you through fall camp to allow him to earn that spot?
Neela just being really physical, just blocking well, protecting well. He's really had a great camp. We're excited. He can be, one of our better guys that we've had. He's really coming on that way.
Coming back from the injury, was he? I guess was that still at all a problem early in camp? Was his knee still bothering him?
No, he's been, running and for a long time through the summer, so he was ready.
How'd your secondary play?
Secondary played really well. Again, I don't know what were they, 21 of 41 with an interception, and so I thought they played really well.
Gabe Lynn seems to be more comfortable where he is just playing this year, this season. I know he's player of the week.
He is. Gabe is, he's really, and that safety spot is really comfortable playing it. He's doing everything well, to be honest. He's on top of being a leader, so it's exciting.
Is he able to be more, because as a safety, you think of him, he also is a pretty good hitter.
He is. Yeah, Gabe's a strong hitter, and definitely. And I love the way he's reading the quarterback and jumping the ball and making the interception he did. He's doing a lot of good things like that.
You mentioned the communication of those secondary guys and I guess everybody else. What's his game a part of that? The communication between those guys really.
Yeah, and that's why it's harder, even though Aaron's a leader and all, it's hard when you're out on the edge to get everybody inside. Your backers and all, and safeties are always talking on what the stun is, who's coming down, who's, what safety's coming down, that kind of thing. So and it's really the safety's job to communicate with the corners to make sure they're on the same page. So there's a lot, with the safeties and backers that they've got to be all on the same page in their communication.
Are they clearly on a different page than maybe the last couple of seasons? Is that part of this defensive story that's happening?
It's part of it, but we're also, I think we're also faster at every position than a year ago, and that matters. And if we'll continue to play physical and, and do the things we've been doing along with it.
Bob, you bragged on Corey Nelson a couple of 3 years ago, and he hadn't done as much as maybe a lot of people might have expected. It looks like he's
had another huge game. I didn't mention that, but Corey had a great game. Second leading tackler again, just pressuring. We play him at outside backer some and inside, and he's really. For a couple of games, had great games, but has been of course, being a captain, he's a strong leader too. He's doing a great job.
Well, how much is having a 3-man front allowing you to develop more depth? I mean, it seems like you had a better rotation this last game. Torreya got in there. You had Matt Diamond in there at the end, but it seems like you're getting more people in for playing time up front.
Yeah, but I mean, we would probably have to, whether we were in a 4-man front too, so. It's just, I think we haven't had to have as much rotation because the offense has stayed on the field so long, and they were third and fourth down, they were only 3 of 15 or something. So we're getting off the field too. So they've been able to stay out there. But we have other guys. Torreya is really coming on, is playing well, getting better. Matt Diamond, as a young freshman, is really a good player. Chaz Nelson has really come on. Chaz is really playing good ball in practice. And again, we go against a good offensive line every day. And these guys have been more than holding their own with them through camp.
Was it good for Quincy to kind of get out there in the first game and maybe didn't need to use him as much in the second?
Yeah, and it's just him still coming on, getting used to everything. But he's progressing well. And, Quincy, we're excited. He works hard. And, and so we just got to keep getting him more and more comfortable with everything that we're doing.
Notice a change at all whatsoever in Blake Bell's demeanor, whether it's Saturday night or Sunday,
No.
Monday, whatever?
Well, I wasn't with them yesterday. They're off, so we haven't been around each other. But I know Blake, just like Trevor was when Blake went in. He was out there encouraging them, paying attention. So that's how these guys are. They help and they push one another, but they're not out there hoping the other guy isn't doing well for the team.
Is Trey Frank's play on special teams kind of an indication that he's made that transition from offensive to defensive?
Yeah, he's really well. You ought to be able to play special teams if you're an offensive guy too. I mean, so but tackling and that kind of thing he has. And he has, and we do have confidence in him now, even in the safety spot. So, and special teams, he's really taken a lot of pride on it and has been showing up on all of them, really doing well.
Bob, how well did Cortez play when he got into the game at Clark?
He played okay. He needs to play better. I believe he's capable of better.
Bob, did Trevor's injury sort of mean you didn't have to make a decision on what to do? Was that?
No, that doesn't matter. We would do what we felt we needed to do, and who knows what that is. I don't have that choice because Trevor's hurt.
Since Kendall got hurt so early in fall camp or whatever, does he have to catch up? Was he there? I mean,
we'll see today at practice. I'm sure there's some rust, but he, like all last week, he was throwing. So I think his arm will be in great condition, and it'll just be getting back to movement, and running around and. But Kendall's an excellent athlete. I expect him to knock that rust off through the week and catch up pretty fast.
Blake, is this a perfect example of why you don't pout, you don't quit, you don't transfer, you don't whatever?
Absolutely.
Because in 2 games, here he is back in the lineup.
Exactly. You just never know, and we all. This is the level of football we're at is competitive, and you're going to have your ups and downs, and you have to keep working it. And usually, when you do, things happen positive for you.
The 2 weeks of practice where he was a backup, would you have never known a decision had been made? Did he turn it up? Did he take a while to get remotivated, or what was that like?
He practiced hard like he always does, and had a positive attitude with everybody like he always does. Just kept working.
Bob, some coaches have the philosophy you don't lose a starting job due to injury. Do you have a position on that?
I don't have a position on that. I'm sure through my years some have, and some probably have not. So a lot of it sometimes determines that is what, for instance, a guy that's played for 3 years has already earned that. We know what he can do. When he gets injured, it's pretty likely I'm going to put him back in there once he's back. And if a guy hasn't been playing for 2-3 years, then maybe not. So I don't know,
I think we got a feel, in Sam and Landry's area, you guys are going to throw between 40 and 50 passes a game. Did you have a feel at all for how many passes a game you might throw under this system? I mean, you've been right around 25 or so.
I think 25 to 35 is always a pretty good and safe number. I always think you got to be careful going more than that because of all the things that can happen when you are, and sometimes when you have a really experienced guy, you go with it more, but when you don't, I think, I've always felt when I first took this job, and I hired Mike Leach, and they were all spreading out all over. I was very aware that I still didn't want to throw the ball all the time, and in fact, the one piece of advice Coach Spurrier said to me was, don't throw it every down. You better make sure your running game is what it needs to be, and I've always believed that you're best when you're close to you know, you can do both well, and you got to rely on the running game too.
I assume it's kind of safe to say, though, that when you do pass it, you thought you'd have bigger plays.
Yeah, I thought we'd have been a little cleaner than we have been to this point. So we got to, and it's not all the quarterback, you know. So first game we had 4 drops. So you know we got all of us got to get on the same page with it.
How much has the running game helped the defense? The fact that you're not going down scoring in a minute or two.
Scoring every minute or two is not a factor. It's wasting a minute and punting the ball. You know, that's a factor. Or going out for 2 plays and turning it over.
You've had in the running game has helped the defense?
To a degree. I mean, I've said that, yeah. I mean, it does help the defense when you're out there keeping the ball from them. So sure, it makes a difference. But, you know, and safe to say the defense is helping itself too.
It's not the passing game problems are not all on the quarterback. When you have a new quarterback or quarterbacks and you change the offense as well, or you make changes to the offense, does that contribute to what you're talking about? Where
I'm sure it has to a degree, as well as you have some receivers that have been inside receivers that are now outside receivers. And so some of that, you know, we got to do a better job, all of us, us coaching it and players, you know, absorbing it to get it cleaned up.
Brennan said he thought that the offense was just a couple tweaks away from being able to break out and really perform well. Do you kind of view it the same way, or
hopefully, you know, I feel we're not far off. Yeah, if we could get some of this, you know, in our passing game and perimeter game out there cleaned up, or just executed better, we'll have. Hopefully, we'll have more opportunities. Yes.
What do you think it is about this offense that seems to suit Brennan's running style better?
I don't know how to say that, you know, because you know running's running. I think as much as anything, there's more space in there, and the lines blocking, and along with Aaron Ripkowski and Trey Millard, they're creating some good space, and Brennan's been hot in seeing the right spaces, I guess, you know, feeling the right spaces and jumping in them and waiting for them to open. So there's always a little bit of patience and pace to the run plays also.
I mean, you've seen a lot of different running backs, I mean, whether it's Q or Adrian. Some guys like running the ISO plays with the lead blocker, and some guys like Q are really good at the zone. Is that just kind of a personality of a running back? Sometimes it's hard to define.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably fair. Every guy's a little bit different. You know, Adrian, when we had him here, we didn't want to have him in the shotgun going sideways. He's better dead behind the guy coming straight downhill. You know, where Quentin Griffin, his style and his pace, he's better next to the quarterback, and you know, so everybody's a little bit different.
You've run it very well through 2 games without a ton of help from your passing game. If you get your passing game going at a solid level, how much is that going to help the running game?
Oh, it'll help it. It'll because you'll start to get different coverages, and so it'll help it to a certain degree.
You know, with Kendall knocking some rust off and Trevor out, do you keep a close eye on how many times Blake runs the ball, or do you just maintain the same offense?
Well, that's something we're always aware of how many hits or how many times we've run them. We're aware of that every day.
He took his first run, he slid like a quarter. Would you rather him lower that shoulder?
Like I said that earlier, we want them to slide. We want them to get out of bounds to avoid as much contact as they can. Every now and then you get caught where, you know, you're not able to, and that's going to happen once in a while. But so yeah, when they're able to, I want them to get down and avoid collisions.
Bob, I don't know if frustrating is the right word, but Trevor makes a lot of big plays and does some things that are pretty special, especially running the ball, but then has those other mistakes that, you know, they're keeping him from having the success you need. How frustrating, or how do you look at that?
Well, you can't turn the ball over. A couple of the passes weren't, you know, he can't throw them. You've got to, you know, we've got to make a different decision. So that's not unexpected with an inexperienced younger guy, you know, so we just got to keep, you know, growing past that.
Well, J.C. Watt said he gave the chapel last time they played here in Oklahoma. Talk a little bit about J.C., what he's meant to the program, and his son Trey in Tulsa's team.
Of course, we're all very proud of J.C. Watts and his legacy here, and his legacy, what he's been doing, you know, in the past so many years and for our country so he's a great representative of OU, and we always loved seeing him here whenever he could come back and be around, and his son Trey had a huge game last week. I think he had right around 250 all-purpose yards, almost 200 rushing the ball, and so he's a big factor for them, and a guy that we're going to really concentrate and focus on this week.
Bob, with the emphasis on stopping concussions and the targeting rules, does that put players maybe at greater risk for knee injuries like the one Trevor suffered?
It's a fair analogy. If you can't target the head, but then now if everyone starts going down at knees, and I know you've seen it in the NFL, some, and that's a dilemma too. So, I don't know what to say about it. I do believe that we need to keep trying to keep the game, do whatever we're able to make it, I don't know if safer is the right way, but safer, and it's you got to keep trying to do it. I see it, the games I watch, guys are more aware of it, not to target the head, and that's positive. You could still be physical and blow a guy up and knock the ball out, and, you can do all those things and not have to target the helmet.
Is there a specific policy that you guys have on concussions? In other words, if someone has one?
Doctors have that. I don't have that policy. So you could get a hold of our doctors.
When do you think they're going to tell you?
Every case is different.
And when are you going to find out if Coleman had a concussion or not?
They'll tell me whether he can practice or not, and when he can play, and whatever that is. So I don't deal with anything else.
Do you feel like right now you've got a couple running backs in Roy and Damian that are able to spell Brennan, or do you feel like you have a 3-person running back committee?
I don't know. You call it what you want. We're running it pretty well. And
you have a feature back.
Yeah. Brennan Clay and Damian Williams and Roy Finch and Trey Millard. And you want me to give you you call it what you want to call it. I'm calling it we rushed for 300-some yards. So.
But why didn't you throw it more when Bell was in the game?
Strictly because we got stopped on the third down off of a screen where he did throw it. Then when we got the ball back, there was 6:20 to go in the game. They're down 2 possessions. Well, you don't mess with the football gods. If you're, and we've been running it well, you run the clock out. Or if they have to give it back to them, there's minimal time because they had already used all their timeouts. I was aware of that as well. So they get the ball back with 1 minute. What's wrong with that? That's the way you play. Take a chance, get fancy, let's go throw a boot, let's go throw this, and all of a sudden it gets tipped, and all of a sudden there they are going the other way with it, and why'd you do that? Well, the smart thing was to run the clock out.
I ask just because a lot of people say, does that show that they don't trust Blake's arm?
It shows we're going to run the clock out. I'm not after points or beauty points. I'm the win. You're up 2 possessions, and you can run the clock out, you run it out. And that's what you do. And I'm going to do it every time. I don't care if Landry was here or Sam Bradford was here. If we were running like we were last week and there was 6:20 on the clock, we'd have did the exact same thing.
Bob, replacing the old question of why Finch didn't play more, the new one is why you didn't play 4.
Yeah, just trying to, keep everybody happy, and just because the way Brennan was running, he was hot. He got more carries.
If with the run out the clock strategy in the fourth quarter, were you able to tell much about Blake's play? I mean, looked like he managed the game well, but could you evaluate much more than that?
Yeah, I thought he looked really comfortable, and I thought when he did get in particular when there was more time on the clock, he looked comfortable and looked good. He was doing everything like you'd want him to do.
Defensively, is the quality of practice, I'm just very interested in the idea that the defense has taken a great leap forward. Is the quality of practice significantly better? I mean,
their attention to detail is better. They practice better, and to this point they've played better because of it, and they're faster than like I said, about every position's faster, and And that includes Gabe, a year older. He's faster than he was a year ago. And, you know, who else played last year? Corey. I think he's faster than he was last year. So, and I know all the other positions are definitely.
And do you feel like you guys as coaches are having a quite a bit better season as well, scheming and putting people in the right positions, and it's just coming
To this
together?
point, it's been positive, you know. So we have to keep searching for more, you know, and we're going to try and keep doing that.
Is any of that attributable also to the fact that Mike's been here for a whole year now? He's been with the guys for a spring.
It's probably fair that he understands our personnel better and has a better feel for it, and what, you know, what we're trying to get him to do.
Do you like birthdays?
It beats the alternative, right? So,
Any big plans?
yeah, practice, meeting practice, normal Monday for me. So, all right, thank you.
You've been listening to Head Football Coach Bob.